we need to go back and revise this sentence number 2 right here before we go on. Yesterday we translated these datives right here as by, but I went up and looked it up last night, and I think we're going to have to do them as to. So listen to this new translation and fix your translation. So we got, he gave, well, we're talking about the legions and where Caesar gave them. So one of which, okay, he gave to Gaius Fabius the legate to be led into the Morini. We translated these as among yesterday, but I think it's into the Morini. Another of which he ordered to Quintus Cicero to be led into the Nervi. A third of which, of these legions, he gave to Lucius Roscius to be led into the Asubi. A fourth of the from the legions, okay, he ordered to winter with Titus Labienus, this one is ablative, in the boundaries of the Treveri. Okay, so now we're going to go to the new lesson for today. So he gathered three legions among the Belgae. To these, okay, you gotta go down there, he appointed Marcus Crassus, the quaestor, and Lucius Munatius Plancus, and Gaius Trabonius, the legates. So this is like a parade of accusatives here. Okay. And we're still with, our subject is still Caesar. So he had, wait a minute, ignore that. My main verb is right down here with this me sentence. This is in a relative clause. This is a relative clause. This is a relative clause. Okay, so then we got accusative here, that goes with there, prepositional phrase. Okay, then we got there, this is accusative. Nominative. Okay. Genitive. Okay. You're going to start down here with he sent. Talking about Caesar. Okay, so he sent one legion, which, okay, and this proxime is like, it's a adverb, a superlative adverb. So which most recently, he had conscripted, it says enlisted, he had enlisted across the Padua, which is the Po River. And he sent 5 cohorts into the Eburones. Okay, and the Eburones. Okay, of which the greatest part is between the Mosa and the Rhine. So the Eburones lived between the Mosa and the Rhine River. Who, talking about I think it's talking about, yeah. Okay, who were under the control of Ambiorix and Catuvolcus. Okay, this says this is a participial genitive here. Okay. Then it says this is dative with a compound verb priesse. So what that means is that takes the object of that. Priesse takes AEs as its object. Okay, and that's dative also. So we got he ordered Quintus Titurius Sabinus and Lucius Aurunculeius Cotta to command these soldiers. Okay, and then this is what's called in apposition, as legates. Okay, so we have an ablative absolute. Then we have a prepositional phrase here. Okay. And then we have this existamavit, which is still Caesar thought. Okay, but since Caesar thought that, okay, it sets up an indirect statement. With this being your infinitive, okay, and this being the accusative, okay, and then we got this complementary infinitive here, okay, but this dude takes the dative, okay, so dative here, because it's the object of this dude here. Oh, I lied to you. Inopia is the dative. Okay, and this sucker's genitive. Okay, and then we got a superlative adverb right here. Okay, so we got with the legions having been distributed in this manner. Caesar thought that he was most able to alleviate Okay, then go up here. He was most able to alleviate the want of grain most easily. I don't think we got he himself. So he himself was able to alleviate the lack of grain most easily. So in other words, it was his strategy, right? He himself, his own strategy, that helped him, come up with this plan to hopefully provide his men with all of the food that they needed over the winter. And you think about it, because in the Roman army, they didn't have like a nationalized army because they weren't really nationalized. So they were very dependent upon their commander for food, for housing, for pay. And so Caesar had to make sure that he had all of those things in place to keep his men happy and to keep his men loyal to him at the same time. So he's trying to figure that out. Okay. So this next sentence we have genitive, genitive, genitive. Okay, then we've got your Hiberna is the nominative. Okay, and then we've got a relative, dative, dative. Okay, and then remember this is our idiom for miles. So it's 100 miles. Okay, but be careful here, because don't think this is not militibus, which is soldiers. Okay? Just like we talked about, the difference between wearies and weiribus yesterday. So don't get it confused. It's thousand. I mean, it's hundred. I mean, it's 1,000. So this is the 100 right here. 100, and then like 1,000 steps was a mile to them. But just don't get confused there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and mark up this next one before I. Oops. Okay, so let's talk about this. So in this sentence, the winter quarters is my subject. Okay, so we got and yet the winter quarters of all these legions, except that one. That winter quarters, which, so all these go back to Hiberna, except the one which Diderot he had given to Lucius Roscius. Okay, then we got a gerundive, to be led. Okay, and this is in plus the accusative. You're going to translate it as into. Okay, into the most peaceful and quiet part Okay, the winter quarters were all being held within 100 miles. Okay, why do you think he tells us that? Maybe, you know, he didn't spread them out all over Gaul, right? He tried to keep them within shouting distance of each other in case they needed to come bring him help, right? Except for Lucius Roscius, which he thought was in the most peaceful part of Gaul. Okay, meanwhile, he himself, our man Caesar, okay, he decided, down here, he decided to stay in Gaul until he had learned, this is an indirect statement, that the legions had been settled and the winter quarters had been fortified. So this quoad, I don't know that we've seen that quoad plus the subjunctive before. I don't know that we've seen that quoad plus the subjunctive before. But it's just kind of like when you see quin plus the subjunctive. Okay? So it's like until, like the potential of something happened, until he had seen.